Today we are talking about marketing automation. So a lot of us have marketing automation tools. Some of you guys are using HubSpot, some of you are using other technologies. But the number one issue we run into with marketers, we even run into this ourselves, is like, we're not using all the tools. Like, what can we do with this tool, right? There's so much potential. But what are all the levers we can pull? So much, exactly.
Always so much to do, yeah.
But what can we do that's going to give us the biggest bang for the buck? And what are some ideas that maybe we're not thinking of that we could tap into with our marketing automation platforms? So we're going to go through 10 marketing automation ideas today that some of you may not have heard of, but they'll be useful for you both in driving pipeline and others, some also very useful tactical things as well across the customer journey, so that you can get more revenue in the door at the end of the day, which is what it's all about. So I'm very excited. We have a very special guest here today to walk us through this presentation. He is one of the minds at HubSpot that is working with our clients and also with other clients who partner with agencies to get the biggest bang for the buck out of the tool. Right? You've invested in this, high value technology that has a lot of levers, and he's the man that can help show you how to pull them all and make sure that you're getting results. So I'm very excited. He is, joining us from Boston today. Go Red Sox, I guess. I don't know. I'm supposed to root for the Orioles, but Dan Rosenbaum, welcome to the Growth Clinic.
Yeah,
welcome, Dan.
Thanks
for coming, dude.
Very
quick roll call, or very quick survey of the audience, if you could. So we're talking about HubSpot today a lot, but it's also marketing automation in general. Drop in the chat. Are you HubSpot? Are you Marketo? Are you Eloqua? Let us know what marketing automation you're using, if any. HubSpot, nice. Jim. Arsham's HubSpot, nice. I know you are.
HubSpotters in the house.
All right, perfect. Thank you, guys. So we got a lot of HubSpotters here. Good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, something that I want to drive home today is that I obviously have a lot of context around how we can do a lot of these things with HubSpot. We tried to make these as HubSpot agnostic as possible. These are really good for just general, many marketing tools can do this kind of stuff. So here for education primarily. Don't worry about the Red Sox or anything. I'm not even a baseball fan. But yeah, joining you here from Boston today. It's kind of sunny out, which is nice. Hopefully we get some more days like this before the winter truly starts ruining our lives. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can everyone see that okay?
Yep.
Looking good.
That's fine. So just a big welcome again, everybody, to this presentation here. Today, we're going to be talking about 10 marketing automation ideas that you might not be using yet. If you're not, you definitely should be. And if you are, you could probably do them better. A little bit about me. Jared, thank you for the introduction earlier, but I'm a strategic channel consultant at HubSpot. What that means is that I'm working with top tier partners like Web Mechanics every day to make sure that not only are they getting the most out of their own HubSpot portals and HubSpot use, but that we're enabling their customers to also maximize the benefit from a tool like HubSpot. So I'm kind of in the tool every day. I spent many years onboarding HubSpot to direct customers before transitioning into the partner world. So I've kind of seen it all and super excited to share some of my knowledge here today. And if anybody has questions, we're going to kind of go through these one at a time. If you have questions about specific things that we're chatting about, throw it into the chat. Jarrett is going to be kind of monitoring that, and I'll try and get to questions as we can. We'll also have an opportunity at the end to have a little Q&A.
Yeah, and I love that you're in platform, in the weeds. There's so much talk about marketing automation that's kind of theoretical. I'm excited to just get in and take a big bite out of something tangible.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, without further ado, tip number 1, marketing events. Much like the one that we're doing here today, webinar or in-person event, a lot of folks run marketing events, but they don't necessarily do a very good job of driving traffic or driving registrations to those events. So using a tool that has marketing automation involved, we can integrate with whatever you're running on. Today we're running with Zoom. There's plenty of tools out there that integrate with Zoom to pull in your registrant information directly into your CRM. What that allows you to do is parse out all your contacts into people who registered, people who attended, people who registered but didn't attend. You have a lot of ability to kind of segment these lists. And prior to that marketing event, since we have a list of registrants, something that a lot of people do, but they could probably be doing better, is nurturing and reminding folks that, yes, you signed up for this event, but the next step is showing up to it. And just reminding folks to get it added to their calendars, make sure they prioritize it, and just continue to drive home the fact that you signed up for this event for a reason, and it's because you thought there could be some value in it. So just kind of like nurturing that value statement for that event, keeping that event top of mind for folks, and just using automation to do that with the integrations that I've talked about.
And to be able to spin up a list of like, hey, anybody that's ever attended one of these events, like,
Yes.
let's send them a special offer. Or anybody
Exactly.
that's signed up but not attended, like maybe let's send them a little offer. So the
Exactly.
list, this we call first party data. And like organizing and being able to manage your first party data is super beneficial, because then you can create different cohorts quickly and on the fly. It's like, what's the flavor of the day, or what's the campaign today? Okay, let's find or build those lists where we can get in front of that specific cohort.
Exactly. Yeah, and first party data just kind of being like the data that you specifically are gathering from folks, not necessarily, kind of like wider macro stuff that you might pull and like that ads platforms use. This is stuff that you've collected from your cohort of contacts.
And one other note real quick, like you can go real crazy with this stuff real quickly. Like you could get detailed about like attended this type of event or that type of event. Very highly recommend the 80-20 philosophy, and like just start with like the big thing that's the hardest usually. And I think for most listeners here, the big thing that's the hardest might be actually doing events. Like it might be like a scenario where like, well, we don't really do those events. Like it takes a lot of effort. Like, but if you're already doing those events, then that's, you got a huge leg up. But if you're not doing those events, then I think that would be recommendable too, to do some sort of event to engage your communities.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the hard part is creating and putting on the event. The slightly less hard part is making sure that people remember to show up. But we forget that last little bit, to bring it home at the end of the day.
Sorry, I'll stop derailing.
No, you're good. You're good. I love the commentary. Thing number 2, multi-channel nurturing. So a lot of folks obviously are very used to using email for any sort of outreach communication. Email has very stubbornly stayed as a very good engagement tool, and which is a good thing. If anything, during the pandemic, there's all sorts of studies out there. Email engagement actually managed to go up during that time. I think has kind of leveled out now, but for the most part, it's a really solid place to play in. What we want to talk about is stepping out of the inbox, going beyond the email inbox. And we're going to bring up 2 examples here today, but there's all sorts of clever things that you can do outside of an email inbox. Thing number 1, integrating an SMS or a texting platform to hit prospects on their cell phones. I'm assuming that everyone on this call here has a cell phone attached to their hip as we speak. And email, of course, one of the reasons why it's so sticky is because email lives on your phone as well as your computer. But emails are pretty easy to ignore on your cell phone. Texts are not. So what this kind of gives us is a push and pull, and there's a fine line here between, because we have that really locked in attention, people are going to be that much more ruthless with saying, I don't want this communication. I'm going to reply stop. I don't want this anymore. So we want to make sure that if we're using texting, which can integrate with a platform like HubSpot or any other marketing tool, where when we can hit people at the right time with the right message, it makes a lot of sense to do that through SMS. And we want to make sure that our SMS texts that are going out are even that much more valuable than your email correspondence, because people are going to be it's so much easier to just reply stop to a text. It's so easy to say, this is not helpful for me. I don't want any part of this. So we want to be like a pleasant pest on SMS, and make sure that we are just giving oodles and oodles of value through those texts.
Yeah, and Dan, I think this ties in nicely with number one, right? Like if you have an event, send them text reminders to say, hey, your event's coming up, right? I might not see it in my 1,000 email messages, but if my event's coming up in 1 hour, I get a text like, oh yeah, that's happening. And I might be more likely to appreciate that.
And Arsham saying the thing that I was about to say is that the 80-20 is essentially to like begin collecting text.
Yep.
So like on your squeeze page on your lander, instead of just like email as the field, be like cell phone number.
That's right.
Not just phone, but cell phone, because having that SMS, you're getting 90% open rates on those texts easily, So therefore, if you call an average email open rate like 30%, it's triple the value.
Exactly.
So if you shift to a text first mentality in general, even if you're B2B, especially in the age of the pandemic, like I don't even believe that you can contact me via our landline phone. I think the only way to contact us now is via email or social or text me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who still have landline hanging off the side of their wall in their house, and it's not even plugged into anything. It's just there for show at this point.
Really.
Exactly. So something to keep in mind, and this is kind of a recurring theme of meeting folks where they're at and where their attention already is. We don't want to drag people to a place that they're not willing to pay attention to. We want to hit them in the place that they're already looking at.
And people switch emails a lot, but they don't switch cell phones that frequently.
Another really good point too. And then the second thing here is getting into their real mailbox. So we're talking about direct mail. And so you might hear this and think like, I'm at a webinar for the top 10 marketing automation tips and you're talking about direct mail. Yes, we are. So the thing that you can do with this is there's plenty of companies that will work with you on your direct mailers, and you can integrate them with your CRMs so that when certain events happen, when certain triggers are met, criteria is met, we can actually mail folks a piece of content that could be super valuable to them, reminding them who you are kind of again at the right time. And they're going to see that stuff, and everyone checks their mail. Whether or not they look through all of it, who knows, but that's up to your marketing teams to make sure it's higher likelihood that they'll actually open your direct mailers. But there's all sorts of good things you can do with this around, depending on the product that you have, holidays and stuff like that. And I would say even more so valuable for existing customers who you want to be repeat customers. It's a lot harder to get folks to send a direct mailer for your company that they've never really heard of, they've never worked with before. They're going to throw you in the trash. But for your existing clients who maybe every holiday season they come to you for something, a direct mailer is a great way just to remind them, with a physical thing in your hand, hey, here I am. You bought something from us at this time of year last year. Here's our new catalog. Here's our new products. Here's some new stuff that you might be interested in. So don't knock direct mailers. I know they are a relic of the past, but with marketing automation, they can be actually quite useful for you.
Yeah, very good call, Daniel. I'd add two things real quick. One is lumpy mail. So it's like, don't just send a letter.
Potato.
Yeah, send them a potato, right? Send them some kind of package. Everyone opens packages, but letters are really easy to recycle. The second thing is if you're doing, your CRM right, attached to your marketing automation, then you could send like SQLs, hypothetically, you can segment and send lumpy mail or mail to only a segment. So for instance, like you don't want to send it to everyone who fills out your form because that might be expensive, but SQLs, you really want to get, make sure that they're attending your demo or whatever.
The only flag I throw up there, generally I'm much more bullish on SMS than I am on direct mail. But the only flag on direct mail you'll throw is it's hard to get the right address these days, especially in a B2B setting. Like we've experienced multiple times, we tried to send one and it like never showed up. We're like, hey, did you get anything in the mail? But so you could position it on your site as a special gift, and kind of like if you can position it somehow to say, hey, you qualify for a special gift. Looks like you're the lucky customer or whatever it is. and like where's the best address to send it. If you can collect that up front, like in exchange with that thing, I think you have a much better chance of actually getting connected with that person, you know?
100%.
In other words, like collect the address on the conversion. Don't just send it to whatever DNB or your data source says the address is.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about this a little later on with another tip too, but kind of sending that lumpy package like a potato or, you know, a coin or whatever it might be, you know, it kind of acts as a totem, and it's like, it's going to stick in people's minds as something memorable.
Totally.
Cool. And yeah, great question about the lumpy mail. I've never heard it referred to that way, but I love that. Number 3 here, using automation to maintain a healthy database. This kind of goes, everyone knows that having a healthy database is important, but in practice, it's a lot harder than it sounds. There's some really quick wins that we can get on this, and then there's a lot more deeper things that we can do, of course. But my first thing with cleaning up the database is there's enriching the data you already have on existing clients, and then there's getting rid of bad contacts. I think it's a lot easier just to get rid of all your bad contacts first, and then with your healthy cohort, your healthier cohort of contacts, then you can start enriching and making sure the addresses are up to date and the phone numbers and emails are up to date, all that good stuff. So my number 1 tip for people when they're getting started here, tell me who hasn't opened an email in 6 months, in 1 year. Tell me who hasn't responded to anything that you've sent in that amount of time. Those people want nothing to do with you. They're taking up space in your database. You're probably paying for them, depending on you know which system you're using, and they're not really helping you out. And if anything, they're just hurting your email sending reputation, which I'll talk about in a moment as well. So my number 1 thing is just create a list that pulls in everybody who's disengaged and get them out of your database. If you want to export them first into an Excel doc, just because you don't want to let them go and put it somewhere, fine. But you know, get them out of your database after we send that Hail Mary offer. So this is your best offer that you can possibly give. If this won't get people buying from you, then nothing real type of thing. So with those disengaged folks, send them that one last offer that you think could get them over the finish line there. And if they don't respond to that, get them out of your system. You don't need them. If they do engage, that's awesome. You know, we did it. We did our jobs here. If not, get rid of them. So in that Hail Mary offer, you know, don't be afraid to use attention grabbing subject lines in your emails, you know, whatever it might be. Like really let them know that, hey, if you don't respond to this or you don't want this, don't worry. This is like the last email you're going to get from us. You don't even have to take any action. But you know, here's our last ditch effort essentially.
And I'll be honest with you, Dan, when I saw this slide the first time on the headline on the left, I was like, boring.
Yeah.
Like, this is the worst tip. Like, let's start with the fire, put that at the end. But then the actionability and the specificity of this and the value of doing it, I think is immense.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they're talking maintain a healthy database. How do you do it? Here you go. Hasn't clicked for 1 year or 2 years or hasn't opened. Send that Hail Mary offer. Some people will respond, you know, like you'll probably generate some revenue from that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and do that on a consistent basis. So I like that. I went from boring to like exciting. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea. We should do it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, the
More
other thing
often,
too,
you know?
the other thing too is with the addition of, and I can only speak to HubSpot tools on this, but with the addition of things like Operations Hub at HubSpot, you can then, once you've gotten rid of your bad contacts, you can start making sure that the information you have on your current contact database is healthy with that same kind of automation, where we can look for common database messiness errors, misspelled names, you know, no capitalized letters in names, bad emails, that kind of stuff. Just common errors. We can start surfacing those with tools like Operations Hub, and with tools outside of HubSpot, things like kickbox.com, which everyone here should be writing down, kickbox.com, or neverbounce.com. Those two tools are email validation tools. You can put a list of contacts through a tool like that, and it will spit out of these 1,000 contacts that you put in, 900 of them have healthy emails, 100 of them have stale emails or a non-active email, whatever it might be. So, even if they responded to you 3 months ago on something, that means they're not going to be on your disengaged list. But now we've found out that they have a bad email.
Right,
It's
because they
actually
switch jobs or whatever.
exactly. So,
Hey,
and
real quick time check. We're
Mhm.
running behind on time, as often happens on good sessions.
yes,
So let's pick up the tempo just a little bit, but also call for questions from the audience. We've talked about a lot of things. If you have any questions so far, please drop them in. We'll answer them as soon as we can. But let's keep rolling, Dan. This is great.
yeah, good call out. This next one, and there's a couple in here that they're going to be in this vein. A/B testing and personalization. This is kind of like a buzzword for a lot of folks. A/B testing, like yeah, everybody should be doing it. Are you? So it seems simple, but a lot of people don't do it well or don't do it at all. And something I want to talk about that's kind of next level, because A/B testing is, I've got one email over here, a second email over here. I'm going to send each of them out and see which one does better. Same content generally, but maybe a different subject line or different way to present that content, just to play around and test with what do people respond to. This is a really awesome way to figure out and improve your engagement. But something that a lot of people don't utilize, which is available on HubSpot and other platforms, something called smart content, where you have one email that is reactive to the person actually receiving it. And this goes beyond just personalization tokens, like having your name in there, your company name in there. This is like if you are at a certain life cycle stage, if you've already purchased with us before, if you've read this blog already, like if we have that, you've clicked this blog already, you can actually get a different paragraph of text based on all of that stuff. So instead of saying, hey, this is the first time you're seeing us, that message can start with, hey, it's nice to see you again. It's nice to hear from you again, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it's like your
there's
scrub email. You could use it with your scrub email, like, hey, our records indicate that you are insert life cycle stage.
exactly.
Like, do you want to
So
still hear from us or no?
So a lot of tools make this really easy to do. HubSpot happens to be one of them, but the A/B testing and personalization, super important if you're getting bad open rates. This is a great way to start playing with that.
Interesting. Yeah, so smart content is what it's called in HubSpot. And Marketo, I believe it's real RTP, real-time personalization. They each have a name for it, but you can essentially customize larger blocks of text or even imagery based on other dimensions or based on like dimensional commonality.
Yeah, exactly. And great question, Antonia. It depends on what you want to use them for. MailChimp really specifically just does emailing for the most part. HubSpot has that first party data ecosystem behind it. So we have a lot more ability to supplement with smart content, and we have just more, the gates are a lot more open with, this is the stuff we know about you. So we're going to be more intentional around how we adjust the email that you're getting. But yeah, I mean, if you're just looking to send one-off marketing emails and not looking to improve your open rates or anything with intention, then HubSpot is just as good as MailChimp and vice versa. So good question there. Next, another buzzword. I won't spend too much time on this, ABM, account-based marketing. So a lot of people hear about this, sounds fancy, but they don't really know where to start. I'd say that this is a very specific thing for what we might call a lighthouse account or a target account. This is a really good way to take, maybe a client that you're looking to work with, let's say web mechanics. They're a lighthouse account of yours. You're really working to get their business. And so you put them into your ABM tool. And what this does is it automatically pulls in all of the marketing activity, sales outreach, all the individual contacts, what the company activity is, what people are looking at, all into one convenient dashboard. And what this allows you to do is set those lighthouse accounts in your system, build out marketing email automation or other SMS automation, whatever you're building out automation wise, that is totally separate from your general database. We can like identify these ABM folks and we can have a totally different pathway of content and offers, like really the stuff that you roll out for your red carpet clients. And it's really easy to now segment those things if you're utilizing a healthy ABM strategy in your system. So super important to, first of all, identify what makes a good fit client for us, and then be able to kind of extrapolate and say, well, based on my database, if these 10 companies are a good fit company for us, a system like HubSpot can take attributes of those companies and automatically generate lists for you of existing companies in your system that kind of look similar. So there's like there's a whole AI powered system behind the works that will pull, you didn't label this as a Lighthouse account, but we think it might be based on your other Lighthouse accounts. So really powerful tool if you sit down and build it out.
Yeah, what I love about doing it in HubSpot is then HubSpot also has the audience tool for ads, right? So once you've identified your Lighthouse accounts, your ABM targets, then you can say, hey, HubSpot, create me a list of these lists of our tier 1 or tier 2, whatever it is, accounts, and then I want to use these audiences across LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever I want to go, right? So then you can activate campaigns really quickly to those target accounts that you want to hit and start testing messaging against them.
Yep. And that's the beautiful thing about having a kind of all-in-one platform, because again, that first party data that's so important that only you have access to, having an easy way to port that over to your ads platform is just a no-brainer. So number 6 here, marketing to sales handoff. So this one seems obvious, but a lot of sales reps find that when they're moving to a new system, there's a lot of uncertainty. How am I going to know who to reach out to? How do I get my leads and stuff? So if somebody takes a qualifying action, we call them on a marketing piece of content, we call them a marketing qualified lead. They've taken marketing actions that qualify them to go to the sales team for some additional review. So it could be a website visit. They filled out a form. No matter what it is, we want to make sure that we are alerting our reps effectively. And one of the best ways to do that is the same idea of meeting people where they're at. Find out where your sales reps are comfortable receiving information and automate to that location. So a lot of sales reps might be super comfortable getting new leads in Slack. They might be comfortable getting them directly in their CRM platform, whether it's Salesforce, HubSpot, Marketo, whatever it might be. They want to be comfortable where they're at. So the fun thing here is that we can set up all these conditions and say, if you meet all of these criteria, we are going to message the sales team in the place that they like to be messaged, and we're going to include all of the information that they need, including that person's name, email, and maybe some things that they clicked on or that they're interested in, just for a super easy handoff process. So marketing can do their job, sales gets alerted when it's time to do theirs, type of thing, and it's super easy.
Yeah, one example I'll give, we have a channel we actually set up that syncs in with HubSpot to track our marketing qualified leads. So whenever we get a lead that hits MQL stage, it'll fire in that Slack channel. And what's great about it for us is it allows us as a team to collaborate on those opportunities, right? So if we see, hey, this is meeting our MQL criteria, it meets our ICP, hey, Jim, go and send them an email, or hey, let's do this additional follow-up to this particular account, right? So it allows us to have that visibility as a team on what MQLs are coming in, but then collaborate all in one space. So it's a very powerful way to make sure that we're engaging with leads that we're working so hard to generate.
Yep.
Oh, snap, that's a really good one. Let's make them a Loom video about 3 ideas that we have for them right away, right? Because we're all in Slack, but only a handful of us are in CRM, for better or worse,
Exactly.
Yeah. So the idea here is that having a system that's flexible, where sales reps can be just as effective inside of it as they can be outside of it, is something that's super important too. Number 7, this kind of goes back to some of that direct mail stuff, but gifting, and this, you can gift physical goods or digital goods, whatever you want. But gifting is such a brilliant way of giving people that little extra positive experience that they're not going to get with the majority of other folks that they potentially are going to be working with. So we can automate this whole process. There's systems like Sendoso that are specifically for this, like branded gifts and other tips and gifts and stuff like that. And we can be really thoughtful around, when people get to certain stages in their journey with us, maybe we just sent them a contract to sign and we want to like automate a gift. Maybe contract sent a week later, we haven't heard anything yet. So we're going to automate like a little, teddy bear that says we miss you or something. Maybe you don't want to be too thirsty on that, but the general idea here is that we have all of this really great information. We want to be engaging with people and closing deals, and like maybe you've identified that we have a terrible process of following up after contracts are sent. Like sometimes a contract can sit for a month and we just forget about it. We never follow up with them. Automate it. Automate the heck out of it. Whether you're just sending emails or sending gifts, whatever it might be, this is a great way to start doing that. In addition to just celebrating birthdays and holidays and stuff, we want to give people a human experience. People are so tuned in these days to having human experiences, personal experiences with the companies that they work with. Everyone wants to feel special, and this is a really great way to do that.
Yeah, one tactic that I've seen folks have a lot of success with a lot of these gifting platforms is they'll offer events, right? So instead of just sending someone like a tchotchke or something like that, say, hey, we're going to do this whiskey wine tasting. We're going to drink a whole bunch of stuff, right? Some sort of tasting event or some sort of like cooking event, right? So these platforms will actually curate those, and then you can create an event around that experience, right? So, your prospects will get something delivered to their home, right, that they can use or experience as they're going through the Zoom webinar or whatever it is. And then there's a little bit of pitch in there, of course, but mostly it's about giving those prospects a really nice experience associated with your brand, right? So you create that kind of hook to get them in, and then that creates the affinity for the brand that then allows your sales reps to call up and they say, oh yeah, hey, thanks for getting me drunk. And it makes it a lot easier to kind of like build relationships versus just saying, hey, here's more information to cram in your brand.
Exactly.
Yep.
And also good opportunity for sales reps to give a call and say, hey, did you get that gift card we sent you? Or, whatever, that present for your birthday, happy birthday. It's a really incredible way to give a personal touch there.
Sure.
All right, number 8, next level chatbots. So everyone's heard of chatbots, I'm sure. They are historically underutilized. Chat in general, a lot of folks feel like they can't staff these things. That's where chatbots come into play. But we don't want to be a chatbot spammer or overly annoying on the website. The more like pop-ups that show up on a website, the quicker somebody is going to say, I don't want nothing to do with this page. So there's all sorts of fun things you can do with chatbots, like wait until somebody scrolls, 50% down the page, and then a little chatbot window pops up that says, hey, can I help you? Or wait 7 seconds or 10 seconds before it pops up. So there's kind of like small things you can do there. But at the end of the day, a chatbot is a robot. Everyone knows that. We're not trying to hide the fact that you're speaking to a robot. What we do want to do is give as personalized an experience as possible using that first party data we talked about, and building out all these different automation pathways within the chatbot for people to utilize. And one of the biggest tips that I give people is, depending on the page that someone's on, have a different chatbot for that page. If they're on the pricing page, they don't want a chatbot being like, hey, can I help you with, an old purchase you made? It's like, no, I'm obviously a brand new customer. I'm on the pricing page. So having chatbots that are specific to the page can be a really good way to, still let people know that they're being serviced by a robot, but that you are a company that has put a lot of thought and attention behind their experience on your website, which is super important. So just keep that in mind as you're building these things out. We can make these really friendly at the end of the day, and just have fun with it too.
Yep. A couple other things I'd point out on this. So it can be useful to personalize that chatbot experience based on. So say that user has previously converted on your website. Maybe they converted on what we would call top of funnel offer, like an ebook download, or maybe they did convert on a demo, right? That information is captured in your marketing automation system, so you can use it in your chatbot, right? So if they're returning to the website and they've had a demo, maybe the chatbot is like, hey, do you want to see some additional case studies of customers, like customer name, company name, right? And really personalize the experience to that stage in the buyer's journey, right? Make sure that you're responsive to that and not just blanketing the message you send everybody. The other thing I'd say is could also be helpful to think about the channel or source you're driving traffic from. For example, the intent of someone coming from a Google ad might be very different from someone who's visiting a blog post on your website, right? From organic search. So thinking about that. And the other thing you can do is when users engage with your chatbot, you're able to fire events, right? So you're able to fire events to track, hey, how did these users engage with these chatbots? So you can use these chatbots to actually qualify your users, right? So you can ask, hey, are you a company in XYZ industry? Maybe you only sell into a certain industry, right? And if they say yes, then you would put them on a different list and use that event as an audience for your advertising, right? So you could say, hey, I want to advertise this audience of people who came to our website, pre-qualify themselves as being in our ICP, but haven't converted yet, right? So there are very powerful things you can do with not just the chatbots themselves, but with the data you collect on the back end of that chatbot to inform and influence and activate your broader go-to-market strategy.
Yep. What a lot of people don't realize, kind of in that vein, is that the chatbot can be used almost as like a sequential form in a way,
Yep.
where if someone's engaging with your chatbot, you can get their name, email, address, industry. You can get a lot of like little pieces of information. And if they drop off halfway through that conversation with the chatbot, you still captured all the stuff they already put in.
Yep.
Whereas a form, if they fill out the form and don't submit it, you're kind of out of luck. So chatbot is a great way to further qualify the folks who are on your website as well.
Yep.
It's a really good call out. Number 9 here, feedback. So a lot of folks are scared of this. They're scared of feedback, and they really shouldn't be, because feedback is the essential building block of building a great experience for your clients, building a great product for your clients. It's super important to hear from them if they're having a bad experience, a positive experience, both just as valuable as one another. But what a lot of people don't realize is that you can kind of expand your feedback into other realms. So let's say you are a sales rep and you've just closed a deal, and sales management wants to know, are people happy with their sales process? Do they like it? After a deal closes, you can use something like Service Hub in HubSpot to send a automatic feedback survey that's specific to the sales process. Or the classic is, after a service ticket is closed, send a feedback survey about your customer experience. So that's kind of like the reactive side of things that you can automate. And then there's also the proactive stuff. Maybe once a quarter or twice a year, you want to send out a net promoter score. How likely are you to recommend us to your friends, type of thing? Could be like a 1-question survey that goes out once a quarter or once a year, whatever it might be, out to your external contact database, but also for your internal folks. A lot of people don't realize that in HubSpot and other tools, you can actually add all of your employees to your CRM, and you can start engaging with them through your CRM in very specific employee ways, whether that's a internal employee newsletter that you send, or an employee NPS survey that we have listed right here. All really good stuff. And this kind of like drives home the point. Yes, feedback is good for your customers. It's also really good for your internal folks, because you want to make sure that everyone is having a positive experience, no matter which side of the desk they're on.
Yeah, and all this data can inform your marketing strategy, right? I mean, the better you understand your customers, the more you collect feedback, not just in terms of the product and post-purchase experience, but also, you can do this, pre-customer, right? To prospects, to understand, survey them and ask what they're looking for, what their challenges are, pains, gains, jobs to be done. Collecting this information can help you better craft your message to engage your market and give them a reason to say, like, oh, wow, this is really relevant and important to me. Maybe I should pay attention to what this company is saying.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so using all this data that we have, we can automate the whole process, start to finish. And based on those responses too, We can also make sure that the correct folks are being alerted when there is a low score given. We can send automated emails that ask like, thank you, first of all, for filling out the survey. Second of all, how can we make this right? So I'm sure everyone here has had bad customer service experiences and good ones. Even if you had an initial poor experience with the product or something, if you the last taste in your mouth is a good, thoughtful experience with that company, maybe you won't go back to them. Maybe you will. You probably won't trash them because you had a good experience at the very end there. So the idea here is that we just want to have a human approach to how we engage with folks, and automation can actually help with creating a more human-centered experience. It's really important stuff there. And stepping out of the customer service mindset when it comes to feedback and getting feedback on the whole process.
100%.
All right, big number 10. This kind of goes hand in hand with what we're doing today on this webinar is, we started today with running a marketing event. We're finishing today with number 10 at, post-event, what can we do? So the number one thing that people do after a webinar is they drop the ball and they say, all right, you showed up, that's all we wanted from you, and we're not going to try and keep us top of mind for you because you already did the thing and whatever. So that means that 6 months down the line, you might compile a list. You're saying like, I'm using my CRM really well today. I'm compiling a list of all my webinar attendees from the last 6 months. I'm going to send out this email to this highly engaged list of folks. Turns out that a lot of them are not highly engaged anymore because they haven't heard from you for 6 months. So it's really important that after you have an event that you've put all this time and energy into, you're continuing to nurture post-event. We're continuing to provide value via email, SMS, direct mailer, gifts, keeping us top of mind so that by the time the next webinar comes around, the next CTA to buy something comes around, or to read a blog or do whatever, people remember you and they remember having a good, positive experience with you, and hopefully eventually convert into happy customers. So that's the general idea behind this. Like there's even in what we're doing today, there's so much automation happening in the background that you all have benefited from. And so it's just super important to kind of keep all that stuff in mind.
Yep. And all these tools are making our lives easier as marketers, right? No longer do we have to worry about like what happened to those leads, because we can have control over that now by implementing these automations and implementing these processes so that we make sure we're getting the biggest bang for the buck out of everything we do in our marketing efforts.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Awesome. So those are the 10 marketing automation tips. I wouldn't be worth my salt if I didn't sneak something extra in here. Number 11. I can only speak towards HubSpot. A lot of these tools, again, can be used across many different platforms. I happen to think that HubSpot makes it the easiest amongst all those other tools. Web Mechanics uses HubSpot. A lot of their clients use HubSpot very successfully. So the big CTA here is do some research, check us out. Everything that we talked about today, I can confidently say is 100% possible with HubSpot. I obviously can't speak towards other tools. Yeah, we want to hear from you. We want to help you grow. We want to help you scale, and we want to help you do it with a human-based approach. And that's what we're all about.
Yeah, one quick plug I'll give for HubSpot. I mean, I've used HubSpot for the majority of my marketing career, and what I love about it is that it's pretty seamless, right? Because unlike a lot of other companies where they maybe bought a marketing automation tool and try to plug it into their ecosystem, everything from HubSpot is handcrafted. It's built from scratch. So any feature that they release, any new hub that they release, was built, on the foundation of their existing tool, right? It's not like they're doing a bunch of M&A and trying to jam things into their ecosystem. They're carefully curating the experience for HubSpot users like me so that I'm not logging in confused or having to struggle to plug it into these different systems, right? So it's very seamless, it's very intuitive, it's very easy to use, and Yeah, I'm a happy user over the years. I'd highly recommend it.
I'll add one more plug for that. All of what Jared said is true as a user, also as a developer. They have a great API. So well documented, works well, works quick. And as someone who, as your business grows, you want to extend and you want to implement, put more tools or your custom stack on top of HubSpot or integrate with the data, also very important. So this is, maybe a longer term thing, but their API is money and they're always improving it.
Yeah.
Something you may
Absolutely.
not think about as a marketer, but you definitely run into later on.
Yeah, and I would say now is the season if you're looking at whether it's HubSpot or whatever tools. We covered this in a previous growth clinic. Now's shopping season, right? It's Q4. It's the time to buy. Not to speak for the HubSpot team here, but this is when companies are making their decisions on like what is our strategy for 2023. Now is a great time to get engaged with HubSpot or whatever vendors you're looking to vet. Because this is a good time to make sure you're getting the right value and really planning for the next year. The other thing I briefly pitch is that it helps to engage with an agency partner, which Webmechanics is, because you get the benefits of having that sort of customized onboarding. So if it is something you're considering, or just have general questions about marketing automation options headed into 2023, feel free to drop us a line. You can shoot me an email. I'll drop my email in the chat. I'm happy to have a conversation around your priorities and whether that's HubSpot or other technologies you're vetting, and glad to provide some feedback for you.
Absolutely. And with that, that is all of our tips for today. So thanks everyone for coming. I am going to stay on for the next 7 minutes or so. If there's folks who want to ask questions, feel free to just pop on camera, pop in the chat about any of the things that we talked about today. More than happy to chat through.
Questions, comments, ideas. What are we going to go do right now? I feel like scrubbing a list or two. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think something that everyone can do like in this moment in the next 2 minutes is like go to kickbox.com. They give you free credits for, I think it's like 1,000 emails or something you can plug in. Just do some list cleanup. It's super easy with tools like that. And yeah, I think it's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Definitely.
Dan, what's one up and coming marketing automation technology that you're excited about? Something that's maybe not released yet, but it's something that's on the fringe, or on the edge rather.
Yeah, so I think like in the microclimate inside of HubSpot, we have something called customer journey analytics that's coming out. It was announced at Inbound, and what that does is it kind of gives you from the moment that someone touches the first piece of content to the moment they became a customer of yours and kind of beyond. We give you this like journey map of all the different crazy places they went to get to that end state, or even to that mid state, wherever they're at today. We kind of give you that information and we extrapolate it across your customer base and say, to get from A to Z, people they first went from A to D to F, back to C, and then up to X, and now they're at Z. So we're kind of building a tool right now that's really incredible, that is going to give you that more intense pathway.
Hey Daniel, how much do you know about that tool? Because like as I looked into it, I was unable to answer this question that I have, which is a lot of our clients do paid media. All of our clients do some semblance of paid advertising, right? Sometimes it's hard to measure paid advertising, especially when they're, maybe in a B2B world where there's a lot of stakeholders or different people making the decision, or in a whatever B2C world where there's lots of touch points, and they may not have converted on your paid ads, but they did on some other channel, right? So is this customer journey tool, like, I just want to be able to answer this question from our clients, like what deals, ops, clients, accounts, whatever, did paid media influence, touch ever? Like, even if it's not like it created the lead, like, is this is what the thing is trying to, one of the questions is trying to solve, is it not?
Yeah,
it's like attribution. What has paid media done for me?
exactly. And I think like attribution has been done any number of ways, and HubSpot has attribution reporting as well. But there are kind of like inevitable limits with that type of stuff. And I think the idea behind the customer journey map, and I haven't done the deep dives into the tool quite yet because it's still being, beta tested and stuff right now. But that is the general idea. We are trying to close the gap the gaps that exist in that story that we're trying to tell, where they did start on an external piece of ad content, and it can be hard to track that stuff. We're trying to fill that gap right now, and customer journey analytics is one of the answers to that.
Yeah, I have high hopes. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
and feedback for us too. Totally encouraged. Again, it's in a
Right.
beta right now. It's going to be changing. We want to hear from.
I'll go get
partners.
my hands on it and mess
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
Yeah, I'll go do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
so
done that for other tools of yours, so I will. I'll go do that here too. It is you guys actually do listen and appreciate, which is great.
Yeah.
Jim has a question. Arjun, we couldn't use the ads tool to attribute any. We created custom lists for the Google ad contacts.
Right. Yeah, I know. This is Jim. Like, I'm kind of, I know your situation. Right. I'm speaking kind of to your and other clients, right? Because
well, if you parse a Gclid or like a click ID on the first visit into a custom field.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Like
Chris.
has ever had a Gclid.
Yeah. Or another way that we've done this is looking at the HubSpot field change history, where we look at like the source fields, and we look at and we say has ever been, like has ever been CPC, PPC, paid, whatever, right? Because a lot of times you capture like their first touch or a lot of times you capture like the first UTM source,
right,
that you capture their email with, but what happened before that? What happened after that? That's like what I'm trying to talk to.
I feel you. Well,
But
we're
anyhow.
losing people rapidly.
All right,
As
yeah.
time goes.
As it gets
Yeah.
more technical.
Well, let's wrap real quick.
as we
First
get
of all,
geeky.
Dan, thank you so much. This content was fire. I can't wait to share it out on our site and with the rest of the community. Thank you. This was great. To everyone listening who's still on, a couple quick things. The recording of this is going to be on our YouTube channel 1 to 2 business days. If you haven't already, subscribed there so you can catch the recordings. If you happen to miss a session, you'll be able to check them out right there. And last but not least, we are actually going to be away next week, but we'll be back the following week with another exciting session. Some more details to come soon.
Much love, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.